everyone. Welcome to the Knitting Spring podcast. My name is Tonya. I'll be your host. You can find me on Ravelry as Cheeky Monkey, Cheeky Monkey 1 on Instagram, and all the show notes can be found at knittingspring.com. Sorry, I'm a little tired. It's been hectic at work. This week I was at work till like 9:30 last night, and then today was super busy, so my brain's like all over the place. It's a little, my memory may be a little bit like Swiss cheese today. I have a lot of stuff written down and a lot of stuff to show you. First thing I want to do is thank all the new and returning viewers. I am so flattered and excited to be able to share my knitting adventures with you. So let's get right on to the knitting, because I have 4 whips to show you, and then I want to cast on all the things. I'm getting close to finishing my Christmas knitting, and I just want to indulge in like a million things. I have like 300 things on my knitting queue or something like that, and I just want to get to all of them, which is, not going to happen right away, but I wish I could. I wish I could knit as fast as Mina does from the Knitting Expat podcast does. That would be so exciting. Okay, so let's get on to my first whip. My first whip is my... you've seen this before. I'm slowly making my way through it. It is I'm calling it my deep sea jellyfish sweater. The pattern is Iridium by Lisa Much. And, sorry, it's all tangled up in here from being in my bag. And you can see how far I've gotten since the last time I showed it to you, which I think it's not very far. I've really been trying to concentrate on my Christmas knitting, so every once in a while it's just fun to pick this up and put a few rows on it, and I have about 10 or 12 rows to go before I split for the sleeves. So this is it. It has I'm going to put a picture up in here somewhere to show you what the pattern looks like. I changed it a little bit. This is the front, and it's supposed to have a cowl neck, but the yarn I'm using, let's go through all the technical stuff first. The yarn I'm using is Kilimanjaro by Miss Babs in the Deep Sea Jellyfish colorway. I'm making it high because sometimes my camera cuts stuff off if I put stuff too low. I am using US size 4 needles, 3.5 millimeter. And I have the little ring stitch markers, the snagless stitch markers from Such Wonderful Stuff for the sleeves, where the increases are for the sleeves. And where there is a little garter rib section, sort of like a stripe that goes vertically down the sweater. You'll see that in the pattern. It's a lovely, simple pattern. And what I did to modify it, because the Kilimanjaro yarn is a light fingering to heavy lace weight. So it's a fairly thin yarn, and I know the pattern, I believe, calls for at least a 4-ply fingering. So this is much thinner. I don't know if you'll be able to see that on my hands. It's much thinner than what the pattern calls for. So I think the size is going to fit me. Once I split for the sleeves, I am going to try it on to make sure I am getting the right width for myself and the right length. I did get gauge with this yarn on size 4 needles. And I'm really enjoying it. And this is a sweater I knit. I'm sort of going off on a tangent here, but I showed this to you a few weeks ago. I believe it's the sock yarn sweater by Hannah Fettig, and it was made with hedgehog fibers, pheasant sock yarn. And this is the one I told you was super soft and squishy, and it's a little big on me. I think I made it a size too big. I wasn't really sure I'd rather have had more room in a sweater than not enough, and I wear this all the time. Even though it's a little big, I still wear it to work. The arms are a little big for me, but love it. Super comfortable. Okay, back to my knitting. This is just a really nice sweater. The colors are just absolutely beautiful. Right, like the colors I love. This pink right here is like one of my favorite pinks. I love this sort of like hot fuchsia-y pink. There's just so much richness in it, and I think it's sort of like a grown-up girl pink. And I'm just really enjoying this. I'd like to get to split for the sleeves by the end of this week, and I think I can do that. It's just a few rows, and then I can try it on. And then my little progress keeper is a little Eiffel Tower, and I got that from, I'll put it in the show notes. I forget her first name. This is terrible. It's Mendez. She has a shop on Etsy, but I'll put it in the show notes because she has really cute progress keepers. And then my beginning of the round, stitch markers are always one of these sort of object stitch markers. So usually my sort of what to do to increase, decrease is either a snagless stitch marker or one of the clover locking stitch markers is what I use sort of my working stitch markers, but always the beginning of the round is all of them happen to be silver right now. Not saying that they all will be in the future, but right now they just happen to be silver. And this one is a little shortbread that I got from Molly at a homespun house, and she doesn't do it this way anymore. She used to have little kits for stitch markers, and it was a tea time set, but now you can make your own stitch marker sets within her shop. So I have quite a bit of yarn to go. It's in 3 balls because I was so excited when I got the yarn. I took the hank apart and wasn't careful about twisting it back up, and it got all tangled. So I had to spend about a week untangling it. It was spaghetti. I don't know. I have no idea because I didn't take off the hank bands, the figure eights they put in there so nothing tangles. I have no idea how this happened. It's not Miss Bab's fault for sure. I did something. But it took me about a week because there's 1,700 yards in one of these hanks from Kilimanjaro. And that was one of my summertime projects. But I'm really enjoying this, and I'm moving right along, slowly but surely on it, but not much progress, but enough that I'm still enjoying making the sweater. And the project is living in my Naughty Gnomes project bag, and I got a little woolen vine button and my freckled whimsy button on there. And this is a lovely bag. You can see, I think it's one of her medium-sized project bags, and it's holding my sweater, although this is a very fine sweater, but I can fit a sweater, the 3 balls of the Kilimanjaros in here, my pattern, and a pen and a couple of other things. So, this is a really nice size project bag. And the inside is this lovely sort of floral and polka dots. It's very unusual. I've never seen something like it. It's really pretty. Sorry, I'm bending down I have a bag on the side. I hate throwing stuff on the floor, so I have something sort of to collect all of my projects that I'm showing you. The next project I have is, I'm calling it For the Love of Gradient Shawl, but it is For the Love of Rainbow Shawl by Mina Phillip of the Knitting Expat podcast. It's one of her patterns she came out with. Here's where I am. I just started this last weekend. Today's Tuesday, and I just started knitting on this this weekend. So, and the yarn's super small, and you can see all of my ends sort of hanging out. But I'm using 2 skeins of yarn. The first one is Malabrigo yarn Machida in the pearl colorway. That's the gray. And then here's the cake of it. starting to come apart a little bit because I've been shuffling stuff around. Nice soft. It's a single, very soft, beautiful yarn. And then the second color I'm using, which it's starting out as this sort of baby pink color, and then it is a gradient. And it is by Knit Circus. And you can see it's going to be really turn out to the pinks that I really like on the end. Like there's the pink that's sort of like right here that looks just solid pink is like this pink with oranges in it, and the orange is slight, so it's sort of like a light tangerine or apricot sort of in there. It's really beautiful, and then it goes out to this really nice dark pink. And this is, I lost the tag for this one, so I can't remember the facts about that one, but this is Knit Circus Yarns and her Opulence base. It's 80% merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon, 10% nylon, 420 yards, and 100 grams. And there's her tag. And I've never used this yarn before, but it is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And she custom dyes these on order. So it takes about, it took about 4 or 5 weeks for me to get this when I ordered it. And I'm sorry, the color is Wild Rose. I might be all over the place today, guys. I'm really sorry. It's only Tuesday, and I've had a roller coaster of a week at work already. And it's on US size 6 needles, and that is 4.0 millimeters. And they're Chalgu red lace, which I love. Chalgu red lace needles. These I have. Most of my needles are Chalgu red lace. I bought them for the first time earlier this year and love them. Absolutely love them. They work beautifully for me. They're metal. They don't bother my hands. And I feel like I'm a slow knitter. I knit, I throw English style with my right hand. And next year I would like to try to learn continental to speed up a little bit. So that's something I want to work on. And you can see I'm up to the first eyelet pattern. And my progress keeper is a little safety pin, which is just so cute. And this is from Nicole Mendez. I remember her name. And she has a shop on Etsy, and she has tons of progress keepers. And it's super cute. So that's my second project. And all of these projects will be for the Downseller Studio Pigskin Party Cowl. So that goes to February 6th, I believe. And I'm moving right along on that. I got to add my sweater last week into that knit along, and that was a big one. That had 500 additional blitz points. So that was a big entry for me. And it's living in my Freckled Whimsy bag with the blue giraffes, etc. And you guys have seen this many times because I really, really like this bag. My third project is my nephew's tube socks. And this is next to the last Christmas project I have. Once I get through the next one, and I'm trying to get these done by the beginning of Thanksgiving, which is about 3 or 4 weeks earlier than I had planned, which I'm so excited about. Not that I don't like knitting the gifts and everything, but that means Thanksgiving and Christmas is just going to be fun knitting, relaxing. I don't have to worry about prioritizing anything or, you know, I need to work on this now. I need to get it finished, and I can just sit down, whatever I feel like working on, I can do, and I can knit, and it can be fun. So I'm just doing tube socks, and they are by Tube Socks for Kids by Jane Richmond. The yarn is Knit Picks Hawthorne Fingering. The color is Irvington, and I'm using US size 1 needles, and that's 2.25 millimeters. And I knit my socks on 2 circulars. One's a Chalgu red lace, and the other one is an Addy Turbo sock rocket. And then the Progress Keeper this is how much I knit last night. So this is what I did last night. And I just keep going, and I'm going to make each of the tube socks 12 inches plus a 2-inch cuff, so they'll end up being about 14 inches. I'm not sure how long my niece and nephew's foot are, so I figured that works. And then I cast on 10 stitches for the toe, and I did a rounded seamless toe, and then I increased for 50 stitches. So I'm doing 50 stitches, and this yarn has wonderful twist for knitting socks. It's a really inexpensive yarn, beautiful, but it knits up so well. It's dense, but it still has some stretch to it, and you can feel, not the kid socks that are going to last that long. Like, I think all my brother's socks going forward in the future, I'm going to make with this yarn, because I think this is going to be a well-wearing yarn. So I think between that, and this isn't as rustic as Regia is. I felt that yarn. I've never knit with it, but this doesn't have the same sort of, I don't want to call it roughness, but it's a softer feel to the hand than Regia is, even though I know Regia is a workhorse of a yarn. So I think I might do a pair for him out of this base, the Knit Picks Hawthorne Fingering, and one in Regia, and see which wears better, because they're both superwash. And yeah, I'm really liking, I was really surprised. Didn't know what to expect with this yarn, and I'm really happy that I chose this. It's really nice to work with. I do good, so there might be a break there. I'm coughing a little bit. I don't seem to cough as much if I'm not talking a lot, if I'm having a regular conversation with breaks in between, but I find that if I'm sitting down talking to you guys for a really long, extended period of time, it wears on my throat. But I'm getting much better. I'm starting to get some energy back. I'm still a little bit tired. I'm coughing slightly, but definitely on the mend. And I feel much better than I have in a while. This is the longest I've ever been sick before, and I'm ready to be over it. And then I have a little, so this little notions pouch was gifted to me from my sister-in-law. It's not a notions pouch from like Etsy or a bag maker. She got this for me a couple of summers ago when we went to Ohio Powell, which is a state park in Pennsylvania, and really beautiful park. Has this beautiful river. I think it's Monongahela, but I'm not sure, that runs through the park. And there's this like little handmade shop in there, and they were selling these bags. And for the longest time, before I started knitting, it was just sort of held like chapstick and stuff in there. I didn't really know what to do with it, but it is a great notions pouch. If we go back there next summer, I'm definitely seeing if they have more of these bags, because it is nice and long, but it's shallow, which I really like. And I just have a needle gauge and a tape measure from M&J Trimmings, which these are like inexpensive tape measures that you can get at this store in the city near my office, and it makes like the best tape measure. And then there's like some snips and chibbies in there, and I don't think, and a little mini crochet hook. And then this is all living in my Studio in the Green sock sack. And it has the divider inside. Well, you can see all my stuff in there, but it has the little, let me take some of this out so you can see it. It has the little divider in there that's a little pocket that you can add stuff in. And then I have my notions pouch in there just because you could put stuff in that little pocket, but this is just easy for me to transfer to the different bag that I'm taking with me. So it's sort of just, it sits in there, it can hold a lot. You could definitely put 2 skeins of socks in there, 2 skeins for socks in there, which this is meant to use. And then it just has a little dot pattern in the inside, and I just loved all these colors against the gray. I really like that, the sort of simple geometric. And then my last whip is a tube sock for my niece. And this is again the tube socks by Jane Richmond. And I am using Opal, and I have the tags. When I wrote my show notes, I couldn't remember the information. So this is Opal Dream 6 FACH. I'm saying F-A-C-H. In case that comes out weird, I don't want to get in trouble. But this is the Opal, and the color is 5508. And then they have this sort of other numbers, but I got this from a yarn store in Pittsburgh this summer, and it has these other colors on it, so I'm not sure what that is. And it's 150 grams, 420 meters. And I knit one whole tube sock. So this is sort of what the tube socks are going to look like when they're finished, the sort of length. But I started knitting these on US 1s, which I've knit all my other socks on, but this yarn is it's a 6-ply, and it's a little bit thicker than the Hawthorne fingering, and it's just knitting up too densely. I sort of knew that right about in here, but there's plenty of yarn to make 2 more pairs of socks, so I figured I'd just knit it, see what it turned out like, and I just put a teeny tiny cuff on here. I didn't do the 2-inch cuff, but it's so dense. There's just no way that my niece would enjoy wearing this as a sock. So I am moving up to US size 12 needle. US size 12. Oh my gosh, I told you. I was preparing you. Just sorry if this continues. I am going to be using US size 2, which is 2.25 millimeter needles. And I bought these. Oh, those are the US size 1s. I'm showing you the wrong stuff. Oh my goodness. I have so much stuff in this bag. This is sort of, the project bag is my hook and gauge bag, and it's sort of my catch-all for sock knitting. It's a medium shawl size bag, but I can put a bunch of stuff in here and throw it in my bag to go. But I guess I don't have to show you the needles. They're in here. They're a US size 2, and I think I'm going to cast these on tonight to see how the 2 works out. I decided to skip the 1.5 and just go right for the 2s because I think that'll be much better. I don't think going up that half a needle size will give me the kind of fabric I want. You can see there's just like no give to these, and they are, I mean, you could wear them, and you probably could wear these for the rest of your life. They're so dense without any wear. I did have some US size 2s that I originally cast on for, and I had carbons, and I'd heard so many good things about them, and I can't use them for sock knitting. I used the carbons US size 8 for the sleeves on my sweater for my sister-in-law, the gray sweater, and they were great. They absolutely worked out perfectly. I really enjoyed using them, but for socks, I can't do it. There's this little join right here, and it's barely noticeable, but it's enough to catch the sock yarn. And then you can see, I was trying to move my stitches along, and the point came off. So instead of, and I'm not going to fuss about contacting them, you know, stuff happens, and maybe I should, but I just don't feel like doing it. And I don't know if they're not needles that I would necessarily, if they're my size 8s, I definitely would call the company and investigate, but I don't enjoy using them for the sock knitting, so it's just not worth the effort for me. So I'm going to be using ChowGoo and Addy Turbos for these. So I ordered the second 2 for that. Okay, so what do I have planned coming up? So I want to have my nephew's tube socks, the second sock, done by Sunday of this week. So I figure if I do 3 inches every day on all the socks, because I'll be able to finish his tube sock tonight, and then I should be able to finish his second sock by Sunday. And then that means I should be able to get my niece's socks, both tube socks, done next week. And then after that, I have completed all my Christmas knitting, which I can't believe. I really planned out to go into mid-December. And even for that, it's early, because when I made hats for my brother a couple Christmases ago, I was still knitting them on Christmas Eve. And I don't want to do that this year. So the first thing I want to do, and I'll put a picture in of the two patterns I'm considering, and I've been dying to use this yarn, is this is Woolen Vines, Stellar Banshee. Sorry, I have on there when I bought it, my name and stuff, so ignore that. But it is on her Volca base, and it is 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon, and it's 435 yards, 100 grams, and it's a 4-ply sock fingering. And I have been wanting to use this yarn since I bought it. So I bought 2 skeins at her trunk show in May, and then I went back to her trunk show in September and bought 2 more skeins because I bought this, and then I was like, I have to have a sweater out of it. So I just sort of waited for her trunk show. And since then, I knew the first thing that I wanted to cast on once I was done with my jellyfish sweater and my Christmas knitting was a sweater with this. So I'm considering 2 patterns. I'm either considering the Ribby sweater by Olga Burya Kefelian, or the Hellebore by Michelle Wong. And I'll put pictures in here of the 2 patterns I'm considering. And I just can't decide what the main difference is. Both the bodies are just stockinette, and one has ribbing on the sleeves and one has a cable pattern on the sleeves. And this is variegated, but it's not variegated like this yarn is. So I'm going to swatch when I get ready, maybe at the end, once I'm finished, maybe over Thanksgiving. I'm going to swatch with this and just see what the fabric gives me, and that'll help me decide if I should do a cable sleeve or a rib sleeve. And I'll sort of see if I'm in a mood for cables as well. That'll sort of decide which pattern I choose. And then I can't make them for Christmas for him, but the other thing my brother asked for this summer is he really wanted a pair of wool knee socks. He works outside a lot. He's a lead lineman for a power company, and so he has work boots that come pretty far up your leg. I'd say just below where your calf sort of bells out a little bit. So he can't wear regular dress socks or any sock that sort of just comes up that you would normally knit with one hank of yarn. And so he always wears knee socks to work because of his work boots, and otherwise it would just be completely uncomfortable to have that leather rubbing on your skin all day. And it's really hard to find that are, well, it's not like these are going to be inexpensive, but he really wants wool knit socks, and it's hard to find those that would sort of last and the price you pay. And I like to knit, and so I was like, sure, but I've never made socks for him, and he lives in Pittsburgh, so I could ship him something for him to try on, but that just does not make any sense. So what I'm going to do is cast on for his shoe size and put in waist yarn at sort of at strategic points, and have him try the sock on. And I really need to measure his calf, and I think when I was talking to my sister-in-law, his calf length is 18 inches, so long. My calf length is 16, and his is about 18 or 19, I'd say, from heel to the back of the knee where you would stop for a knee sock. And my brother's tall. He's about 6'3", so I'm 5'7", and then he's 6'3", so there's quite a bit of difference. And I'm going to make these out of woolen vine yarns. He's getting primo knee socks to wear. And it is on her Strassa base. The colorway is Dirty on Purpose. The fiber is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 400 yards, 100 grams, and it's a fingering sock. And so I want knee socks for myself as well. I think I've said that before. And for me, I'd need about 750 yards, give or take. So I think 2 hanks of these, which is 800 yards, should be enough for him. If I have to add on some black or something for the ribbing, that'll be fine. It's always going to be worn under pants or something, and I think a black cuff with this would be fine. So I just have to get fingering yarn for that. And I don't have a deadline for these. I just want to get the first foot done while I'm there so he can try it on. And then I'd like to knit up the leg on one of the socks and have him try it on periodically while I'm there with him, because I'll be there for about 2.5 weeks for Christmas, so that'll give me plenty of time to mess around. And the pattern I want to use for the knee socks is Delicious Knee Socks by Laura Chow, and I'm going to use a US size 1 to knit these. And I chose that pattern. I was looking at several knee sock patterns, and there's some beautiful cabled ones. There's some really pretty ones with, a single cable going up the back and everything, but I didn't want to fuss around with a pattern element doing my first knee sock, even for myself. So they're just going to be plain vanilla knee socks, so I can assess the right increases to go up the calf and all those sort of things, and I don't want to have to worry about trying to figure in a pattern element. And then I can once I get all the notes in that I need to make his custom knee sock, then but I still don't think my brother's going to want. He's a very unfussy kind of person, and I just can't imagine him wanting any kind of detail. I mean, maybe I could put like a waffle pattern somewhere, or like the Rye Socks by Tin Can Knits somewhere, but I think that's as far as I can go for him. But I'm going to do a nice long 3-inch cuff, so it stays up, and I don't want them to slip down, and that'll help decide on what to do. But these are going to be beautiful. I just love the grays in this, and there's even a little hint of color in there, but I think this is going to be a really beautiful knee sock. And then the other thing that I will be just working on is another hat for my brother. A couple weeks ago, I got a text from my sister-in-law. She was so upset. She had accidentally felted my brother's favorite hat that I knit for him. I don't even remember when I knit for him, for a while ago, at least 3 or 4, maybe 5 years ago. And it's worn beautifully. He wears it all the time. It's his favorite hat, and she accidentally felted it. And they hand line dry a lot, even in the winter. They hang up a lot of their clothes, so she's very careful about taking her laundry out piece by piece and hanging things up. But we think that the hat got caught in a sleeve of something, and so it went through the washer, which I think would have been fine, but then it got tossed in the dryer inside something, and we've decided it's going to be when I was talking to my sister-in-law, we both decided that the hat, I don't even think it can fit on my nephew anymore. It's going to be a hat for my niece's dolls. That's how small it got. So I decided to get, it was navy. He loved it. He wore it all the time. And so this is going to be, the pattern I'm going to use is the London beanie. It's the hat pattern I'm pretty sure I used for all of his hats. I used until the turn a square hat that I made for him in the last couple weeks. So I'm going to do the London beanie. I know he loves it. I've made several hats out of that pattern. And this is going to be in Cascade Superwash 220. It's 100 grams, 220 yards, and It's 100% superwash wool, and the color, I don't know. Oh, the color is just a number, 854. But it looks, I don't know if you can tell, but it's navy. It's a dark navy color. And I think the hat I used before was a Zara Filtraro, and I don't believe that's superwash at all. So makes sense. But I got the superwash, and it's my brother has really sensitive skin, so any wool that I get for him that's going to actually, like a hat that would sort, you know how hats get right here, has to be soft. And this has a really nice soft hand for it. And I think once I block it, and then I think once I block it, I'm going to put it in with a little bit of conditioner just to make it extra soft for him, and let my sister-in-law know that's what I did with this yarn. And then I want to do a hat for myself, and there's just a million other things. I mean, I honestly want to knit all the things right now. And then, so, moving on to knitting all the things. Believe it or not, I do have a couple of stash enhancements. I know probably after the last episode that I talked to you guys and showed you my Rhinebeck haul, you wouldn't think I had any yarn this week. But I haven't purchased anything. This is, I belong to 2 sock yarn clubs. The first club I belong to, and I showed my first colorway from this, is the Hedgehog Fibers Twist Club. And this is the October color. And it's not coming off on screen super well, but it's, I'm going to call it beach colors because it's got this really pretty marine blue in it, and then there's these like slight brown tones, and then this is sort of like the white sandy beaches down in Florida, and then some like hints of green and tans in there, and it really reminds me of the beach, like the waters of the Bahamas or the Gulf of Mexico. It's really pretty, and the color is vellum. So not what it reminds me of, but they called it, they called it vellum. But it reminds me of the beach. So this is really pretty. And then my other skein of yarn that I have is another sock club that I belong to. And it is Spartacus Dye's Gilmore Girls Club. And this is the September colorway. I haven't gotten the October colorway yet. And this is perfect. It's got gray. I'm not really a brown person, but I think the brown really looks pretty in here, and all these different pinks. And it is, so the Gilmore Girls Club by Spartacus Dyes. I think this is, I don't know how long she's been doing it, but I know she did it last year, and I signed up for 6 months. And she takes different quotes from the Gilmore Girls. And I'm a huge Gilmore Girl fan. I know some people like it, some people don't, but I love it. I own all the seasons, and I've seen all the different seasons and episodes multiple times, and I really love Laura from the Gilmore Girls. So this month, September's, there were several quotes you can pick from. And there was an episode where Kurt was babysitting his girlfriend Lulu's dog, and he has to bring it in because he goes to Luke's all the time. So he had to bring it in for breakfast with him, and so there was a quote between between Kirk and Luke, their conversation. That's what this colorway is based on. So you can see the reference to the man purse that Luke called Kirk's bag, and here's all of the information. And it's Will and Grace sock, 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 100 grams, and 400 yards. And it's very nice and soft. It's a really nice sock skein. I've never knit any fur yarn before, and I've never knit any of the twist. But the twist feels very much, the hedgehog twist feels very much like the hawthorn fingering I'm using for my Nephew socks. So I think these are going to make really beautiful socks. And then believe it or not, I got a project bag. And I got a new project bag because I couldn't find any at Rhinebeck. Either I didn't see them or I saw them later. But I've been wanting a sweater size bag. And this fabric is based on Frida Kahlo. And I've been coveting the fabric online for a really long time. And I thought making a skirt or something out of this would be really cute. But when I saw, then this bag was made by Awesome Granny. So it's one of her bags. And I'm sure many of you have her bags. But it's so nice and well made. Really nice big zipper. Really nice big zipper. Nice big handle. And then I got the option with the little notions pouch. Because I figured it's nice. I like to have several notions pouches. That way I can just grab and go. And I don't have to think about what do I have everything. I know that there's a little notions pouch. It has everything that I need. And I can just throw it in with my project. And then she also included the little zipper pull. And it's still in the organza bag, but that's her little logo, and it's for the zipper pull. And the notions pouch is really a nice size. And there's the little goat on here, and I'm trying to find the skulls. So there's the goat, and then I found the skulls, and you can see the little skulls on there, which are a lot of fun. And so I'm really happy with this, and I think pretty soon I'm going to have to either I'll put my woolen vine sweater in here, or have to transfer my jellyfish sweater in here once I start getting through the body and sleeves, because I'm not sure it fits now with all that yarn in my Naughty Gnomes project bag, but I'm not sure how much longer that's going to be able to hang out in there. And then I got a couple of books, and these came in before Rhinebeck, but I didn't want to show these last week because I didn't want them to get mixed up in the Rhinebeck stuff. So I saved these for this week. And the first book I'm going to show you is Respect the Spindle by Abby Francomont. And I've read the beginning of this book about her childhood. I think it was in Peru. And she's a wonderful writer. It's very interesting. Her childhood must have been absolutely fascinating. And there's so much information in here about spindles, spinning, and I have a ways to go in here. I just sort of cracked into this and sort of, I don't want to say speed read through it, but I sort of went through the whole book to sort of take in the different techniques she has in there, and it is a wealth of information. So the other book that I got as well is a hand spinning book, and this is by Judith Mackenzie McEwen, and the Knitmore girls talk about her a lot as well. And this is brand new. She just came out with this, and it's Teach Yourself Visually Hand Spinning. And oh my gosh, today I didn't cough at all. I was home Sunday. Last evening I didn't cough at all, but as soon as I get talking or I'm in our office, the floor above me in my office building is doing construction, and all that dust that they're doing is filtering into our ductwork because our air conditioning is still running at work because it's still warm. It was 74 degrees here in New York City today. So the air conditioning is still running, and it's bringing in all those particles, and I can't stop coughing all day at work. The particles just irritate my throat so bad, and I can hear, my voice normally doesn't sound this deep, and I can hear the irritation from those particles. I don't think it normally would affect me, but since I've been ill and my lungs are still healing, that they're really sensitive. So I'm sure that's not helping at all either. But there are so many pictures. I don't want to show too much. This is wheel spinning that I'm showing you, but there are a ton of pictures in here. So many techniques, And between Abby Francomont and Judith Mackenzie Kewen is just like, they're like the doyens of the spinning world. And I think I'm going through these and practicing. I haven't done any spinning this week. I've really been trying to concentrate on finishing up some knitting. And last week I was still tired from being sick, and I just didn't have the brain space to sit and learn anything new. So I'm going to wait until I think I'm off for the week of Thanksgiving. So I am going to wait for that week and sort of take just a little bit every day. I don't want to sit and like try to powerhouse through learning how to spin. I want to take some time, maybe do like 15, 20 minutes, put it down, knit a little bit, maybe come back to it, maybe not that day, maybe the next day, and sort of get the hand motions in, sort of build in some muscle memory. And then I'd honestly like to take a in-person spinning class as well with all these reference books, just to have someone see me, because I'm a kinetic learner and I'm a visual learner. So I learn not with books or like studying for school. I can just sort of absorb the information, but if it's a craft like sewing or knitting, I have found that I need to do it. I can't just see somebody do it. I need to watch them do it, and then I need to do it myself, either watching the video or having them there with me so that I can understand and do it myself. So I think I'm going to take a class as well, and I think that's going to help. But I sort of want to have these books so I can sort of ask, I don't want to say intelligent questions, but sort of questions that'll help benefit me, that for things that I don't understand, like, this drafting technique doesn't make sense to me, or so I can go in a little bit informed and know what I'm struggling with. So I'm just not going in blank. Most things I do, any class I take, I always do research it's been like that since I was a kid. I think I probably prepared for nursery school, to be honest with you. I knew how to read before going to nursery school, so I was already sort of always like that. That was just one of the things I've always done. So I do a lot of research for my job, so it's something that I enjoy, and it's something that I'm good at, and it's sort of part of who I am. So I feel like I'm doing a little bit of research on this and understanding, and then I can go in and sort of understand what I need to learn or that I'm not understanding. So these are really great books. And then the last book that I got, the Knitmore girls did a director's cut interview with Charlene Church, and it was very inspiring for me. It was really great to listen to her. I love all their director's cuts, all these interviews they've done. Any podcaster who does these interviews with different designers, dyers that are in the industry, it's very interesting. But she, I don't know why her particularly, her and Alana Dakos, which they did a while ago, but I just started, listening to podcasts this year. And so I don't know when they did that. It's sort of all mixed up for me, because I listen to Knitmore Girls on the subway on the way to work. So it's sort of, I'm back. I think I'm currently on their, I'm going back in time. So I think I'm currently on their like 93rd episode or something like that. And Alana Dakos was somewhere in there. But Charlene Church was recent. And she talked about, I don't think you can buy this book new anymore. I had to buy it used. But this is her Sensational Knitted Socks. And since I've just gotten into sock knitting, the way she talked about socks and her different patterns she has in here, I'm not going to go through it, but this is sort of her table of contents and the different socks and stuff she has in here. And I've sort of skimmed through this, but I haven't had a chance to really go through this book. But I'm excited about it, and listening to her interview with the Knit More girls is what really got me. I listened to that interview, and I think I listened to it on my lunch hour one day, and I went back to the office and ordered this book. I was really interested in what she had to say. She was very passionate about what she did, and I was like, I have to have a copy of her book. And so I'm very excited about it, and this is the back. And I ordered this off of Amazon, but I think it came from a bookstore in Seattle, Washington. But it's in great shape. I mean, they said almost like new, but I can honestly tell you, if somebody had this before me, they never looked at it. It sat on a shelf because this little thing here happened from putting it in my big tote bag, bringing it home from work the other day. So I got it in pristine condition, so that was really nice. And that is it for Stash Enhancements this week, believe it or not. No hour-long Stash Enhancements. Okay. The next thing I want to talk about is, I was thinking about knit-alongs, and I wasn't sure if I was going to propose one before the holidays or not, because there's quite a few going on, and then Thanksgiving is 2.5 weeks away, if you can believe that. It's literally, I think, 3 weeks from this Thursday. But the week of Thanksgiving is 2.5 weeks, so that's like nothing. And after that, as soon as Thanksgiving comes, I swear it's like Christmas, and then New Year's, and boom. It goes by so fast. So I was sort of thinking whether or not to do a knit-along, and this morning I had to get up early to go to work, and I was sort of sitting here having something to drink and organizing my show notes, and I realized that, I had sort of thought about this before as doing it. My first knit-along is doing a woolen vine-along. I'm going to be starting 2 projects in December, maybe mid-December, using woolen vine yarns. And then this sort of led me to think that I have a whole stash of indie dyed yarn that I love, that I'm going to be making sweaters and various things out of for the year. I have a whole year planned of sweaters already, because I told you I want to knit all the things. And so I thought maybe doing an indie along. And I don't have any end dates for this, because I thought that maybe starting like December 1st through the end of February, because December is sort of iffy, knitting on things. People travel, family, you have the holidays, and even though people want to relax and things around the holidays, they tend to be hectic. There's holiday parties before Christmas, and things ramp up, and everybody wants stuff at work. So I thought maybe start it in December and go to February, and then the rest of the year, every 2 months, do a different indie dyed yarn, such as this has no order, no favor, nothing. This is just sort of an idea of what the order. I'm going to be knitting sweaters using this yarn. That's the only reason it's in this particular order. And I thought Miss Babs, Skeiny Dipping, Duck Duck Wool, Hedgehog Fibers, a Homespun House yarn. I don't have any Baron Woolen yet, but I am on the hunt for that. I really want some of their sock yarn. And then Jinx yarn as well. I want some of her fingering weight yarn. And there's a couple colors I'm waiting and sort of ready to pounce on in her shop when they come up. So that's just sort of an idea. And I think that's more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's like 7 indie dyers, which is more than a year. So I thought I'd just sort of keep this one open-ended. And let me know what you guys think. I think that I like knit-alongs that are fairly open. That's why I like the DCS pig skin party cow. And I like, which other one? Oh, and then I thought I could sort of tag on to, I can't participate in my own knit along or get anything, but the woolen vine would account for Carlene's local yarn because I live in Manhattan. Kristen lives in Brooklyn, so for me, she's like 7 is like way on the outside, but I'm thinking she's probably like 5 miles from me. Most places in Brooklyn are, unless you start getting down into Coney Island. But so at the max 7 miles from me here in Manhattan. And so that's definitely a local dyer to me. And I absolutely love her yarn. And so actually starting out with a wool vine along and leading into an indie along, it sort of makes sense for me as well because she's the first indie dyer that I started out with. So that was my idea for an open-ended knit along. Knit, crochet, spin. If the dyer has fiber, weaving. Kristen just showed the collaboration she did with the weaver on her Instagram account, which turned out absolutely beautiful. I can't remember the colorway it was done in, but the weaver did a beautiful job with her yarn. And so I thought that would, and if you can sew knitted fabric that you make into a garment, go for it. Any way that you can figure out a way to craft that indie yarn into a project, I say go for it. If you can convince me and anybody else on the thread that that's a worthwhile endeavor, I say go for it. There's going to be more cuts, a lot of cuts again this week. I apologize. I'm hoping that I'll be not coughing and groggy sometime in the near future. I'm really hoping. And so that was sort of an idea I have. Let me know what you guys think. I just sort of came together this morning. I was thinking about the wool and vine along. I haven't contacted anybody about yarn or prizes or anything like that. I just sort of had an idea. So let me know what you guys think. And I thought that maybe I would start it December 1st. Like I said, for the first 3 months, just because of Christmas, the New Year, settling in, etc. And whips, definitely include whips. And I'll put a thread up and see what you guys say. So, typical rules, member of the group, etc. And then, so let me know what you guys think about that. And if it's a go, then I'll see if any of the dyers want to donate a skein for a giveaway, or, I'll think about, or I'll come up with something myself to donate to the podcast. And so that was my idea for a knit along. And I have some other ideas for knit alongs, but I figured I'd wait till either the end of the year or the beginning of next year to sort of discuss this with you guys. And then, so to wrap up, my future excursion, knitting-wise this week is very excited about, is I'm going to be meeting up with Mina, who's coming to New York from Bahrain, which is so exciting. And I can't wait to see her again. She's just absolutely lovely. And it's very exciting. And it's a chance for us all to get together again. So I saw on Carlene's podcast I watched yesterday. And speaking of Carlene and Mina, this is totally a tangent, but I had such a long day yesterday. I thought I would record after work yesterday, but I got home at 9:30. It was a long day. I sat down, put on their podcasts, their most recent podcasts, and they totally perked me up. It was such a delight to spend some time with you guys, and you made a very long day ending on a positive note. So thanks to both of you. It was so nice to sit and listen to you guys, and you definitely turned a long, hard day into a bright note for me. So thank you so much. But I'll be seeing Mina, Carlene, Kristen from Yarngasm, and I believe Jenny from Tiny Paper Foxes will be there. And I think there's a couple other people coming. I know Mina mentioned on our podcast yesterday, but it was about 11:30 last night when I was watching it and I was knitting, and I didn't catch everybody. But if you're going to be there, I look forward to meeting you. So we're going to be going to Gauge Intention, and I'm a little bit nervous about that because there's a plucky trunk show, and you guys know what I'm like around yarn. And then we're going to another yarn shop near where I used to live in Park Slope out in Brooklyn, and literally like 2 blocks from where I used to live out there. And I'm excited. I've never been to that yarn shop before. So our little knitty adventure will begin on Saturday, and I'm really looking forward to that. They're just such wonderful women, and so nice to spend time in knitting and sharing something that we're all passionate about, which is so nice. And hang out with them in person. I love watching them on their podcast, but it's nice to see each other face to face every once in a while. And let's see. Okay. I think that's the end for me. So I keep looking at the time because you guys know the last week I totally botched it and recorded myself. Didn't record myself, but I talked to myself. So I'm just double checking the time. And that's it for me. And there's definitely some other stuff, but I'm already at an hour. And I really thought starting out to podcast, my first couple episodes were like 20, 30 minutes max. And now I'm starting to talk for an hour. And I never thought I could sit here and chat for an hour. But yeah, there's just so many fun things to talk about knitting wise that I find myself, as I write these show notes, going on and on. So this has been a lot of fun, and I look forward to spending some more time with you guys at the next episode. And thanks for tuning in, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye.